Question number 4. The 1300 train from Johor to Cayman runs every day. The probability that the train arrives late in Cayman is 0.35. For a randomly sample of 7 days, find the probability that the train arrives late on fewer than 3 days. So we need to find the probability that it arrives late on less than fewer than 3 days. This is what we have to do. So that means we need to find less than 3 days means probability of 0, 0 late, probability of 1 day late, and probability of 2 days being late. So less than 3 would be 0, 1, and 2. So now this over here we have n given. It says n is 7 days. So n is at 7. We know the probability of this arriving late is 0.35. So we have q as 1 minus 0. This. So this is 0.65. So we have n, p, q, and this is 0, 1, and 2. So now we know this is a binomial distribution with n and p, which is distributed with n and p. So we can write this as binomial is being distributed with n as 7 and p as 0.35. And we have the formula of probability of x being equal to r as NCR PR Q N minus R for any required term. So over here in this case, this is P is 0, so R is going to be 0. And the next one is P is 1, so R is going to be 1. P is 2, R is going to be 2. So we will look for when x is equal to 0 plus probability when x is equal to 1 plus the probability of when x is equal to 2. Apply this formula for all three and then we get the answer. So once we do that for 0, for the first one, for when probability is 0, we get this as 4c, we have this as 7. So this is 7c0, 0.35, that's p to the power of 0, and we get 0.65 to the power of n minus r, which is just 7, plus then we do it for p1, we get 7c1, 0.35 to the power 1 this time, and 0.65, 7 minus 1, so that's 6. Then we move on and we do for probability of 2, so that's 7c2, that's 0.35 squared, and this is 0.65 to the power of 7 minus 3, so that's going to give us 7 minus 2, 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2, that's going to give us 5. Now, if we add them up, probability of 0, 1, 2, so we get the answer 0.532, correct to three significant figures, and that's the answer to the first part. Now, part B says a random sample of 142 days, so we can see that n is large number. It says use approximation. Whenever it says use approximation, we know this is continuity correction. So we know that this is a normal distribution, a binomial to normal distribution with continuity correction, which has the parameters of NP as the mean and NPQ as its variance, not standard deviation as its variance. So now it says when n is 142, a random sample of 142. So now we know n is 142. We have p as in the given question before, that this was 0.35. And we have q as 1 minus p, which is 0.65. Use an approximation to find the probability that the train arrives late on more than 40 days. So we are looking for train arriving late for more than 40 days. Remember, this is a continuity correction. So once we convert this and we standardize this to a z value, this becomes 40, greater than 40 will become 40.5. So now we get this as 40.5 minus the mean value, which is n times p. So we still have to work out the mean. So np is the mean. which is 142 times 0.35, and we get this as 49.7 divided by the standard deviation, which is NPQ, which is the variance. So we get 142 times 0.35 times 0.65, and we get this value as 32 32.305. So under root of NPQ will be taking square root of 32.305, and that should give us the standard deviation, which is 5.6837. So that's what we're going to use over here in standard deviation, which is 5.6837. So 40.5 minus 49.7 divided by this standard deviation, and we get this as Z is greater than a negative value 1.61865. This is what we're getting. So for this, we cannot have such large number in the distribution table. It just goes up to 3 decimal places. So we can round this up and we can write this as probability of Z is greater than minus 1.619. Since this is 8, third decimal place is 8, and after 8 is 6, so that 8 becomes 9. So we'll take this as negative 1.619. Now, greater sign with a negative sign, again, we'll go back and we'll look at the rules. So we have Z is greater than a negative A value, which is just going to give us phi of A, because a negative greater than negative value becomes Z is less than A, which is just phi of A. So now we'll do this. So basically we are just looking up for the value of phi 1.619 in the table. And if you look up this value in the table of 1.619, so let's just quickly do that. 1.619, 1.619, 1.61. Let's try it over here. 1.61. And then we have 9. So 9 is the last one, and we add 9 to this. So we are getting 94.63, and we add 9 to this. So that gives us 2174. So 0.9472. So we get the value from the table as 0.9472. So the final answer correct to 3 significant figures would be 0.947. This is correct to 3 SF. And that's the answer. That's this question done.